Okay, well, here we are gathered together for an evening on minimalism. And we are happy to welcome Judge Vinnie Kempf, who has judged for us many times. And Vinnie, I bet you don't miss that long ride down the parkway, do you?
I don't miss that at all. But you know what? I really prefer judging in person.
Oh,
Okay,
that's interesting.
than on Zoom, okay, because there's in fact, I think Phil Echo pointed it out to me, okay, that you get feedback, even though people are quiet, you get some feedback, okay? And one of the worst things is if you try to tell a joke as a judge, okay, and there's no response at all, it gets rather disturbing. And if you know Phil Echo, he loves the
chat.
the chat, okay,
Yeah.
and to joke with you.
Okay.
Well,
I am going to start now.
Okay,
Okay, and this is going to be open group 1.
all right.
Okay, scroll. Patterns in yellow.
See if I can move this one.
I'm too late. Just I'm going to ask everyone just to be quiet right now.
No, I was just trying to move the panel that shows everybody that's on the Zoom session. Yeah, well, okay. First of all, very nice composition, and yes, it is scented, okay, and there's some images that I think deserve to be scented. Okay, I like the colors and the lighting and the form of it. The only thing I would suggest is maybe tone that background down a fair amount, okay? And if you've been using Lightroom, the new version of it, okay, it is so simple, okay? You just do a mask on the object, and it would take the flower out and leave the background, okay, masked, and then you can do whatever you want to it and tone it down. But I think that would bring the flower out a little bit more, but it's still a very nice image.
Making a decision.
I like the storytelling in this image, okay, because you really captured it. Okay, you can just see that the process going on in her mind, even though you don't see the face. Okay, you don't always have to see the face in order to read somebody. And I really enjoy this image. Okay, I like the composition of it. I like what it says to me in the image, and what it says to me is more important, the most important thing. Okay, if you can get somebody and get them emotionally, okay, it's a very good image. 7.
Searching for significance.
I like the simplicity of it, and I like the shadow of it. Okay, that leading line just leads you to the individual. Okay, and it says something about the individual and nature and what his position is in nature. He's very small compared to the vastness of nature. And I think that storytelling is absolutely beautiful in this image. 7.
Love on the rocks.
And I like the feeling of it. Again, I like the emotional content of the image. They posed very nicely. The exposure is good. The composition is good. The subject is good. 7. I like the bird. I think the bird would stand out a lot better if the background was toned down quite a bit. Okay, because now the background to me is the brightest part of the image. And my eye is going there because it will always go to the brightest part of an image or the part of an image with the highest contrast. Right? So my eye is getting caught in the background of the image rather than being able to concentrate on the bird. Again, very simple to do in post-processing. Again, with some of the artificial intelligence that has been built into Lightroom and Photoshop's masking capabilities, which are just awesome. Okay? And you could probably spend 30 seconds at the most and take that background down and really improve the image quite a bit. 6.
Hold on a second.
Sure.
Okay. Round 2,
Okay.
patterns in yellow,
7,
making a decision,
8,
searching for significance,
9,
love on the rocks.
7,
Okay. Stonebridge Photography Club, Open Group 1, first place, searching for significance. Walter, beautiful job.
Alright.
Okay, now Group 2,
Okay. How many we got in there?
we have 16 pictures.
Okay.
Open Group 2, heron on one leg, black and white.
I like the black and white presentation of it. I think that works very well for you. I mean, the problem I have with the image, okay, is that the middle ground, or what looks like the background, is really very prominent in it. And I'm spending too much time in there rather than spending the time on the board itself. Okay? The foreground's okay, but I guess it's the largeness of that middle ground that's behind the bird that's really disturbing to me. 6.
The mountains are in you.
What was the title again? Mountains?
The mountains are in you.
Okay. See, sometimes I'll use the title in terms of what was the photographer trying to present to the viewer? Okay, and I don't find a strong connection to the mountains in this image. Okay, I like the image, I like the composition of it. Okay, but it doesn't really tell me a story about the mountains. Okay, and for that, I think it could be done a little bit differently. Okay, or maybe even with a different title so that I knew what you were trying to tell me in the image. But I think the message in the image is a little bit weak. 6.
A hole in the wall.
Interesting image, okay? That I'm vacillating in between the big black, but I think it's the top of the pail or a pot, and the white in the background. Okay, it doesn't disturb me to bounce between those, okay, because it keeps me involved in the image. Okay, I like the texture in the background. I like the exposure. I like the black and white treatment of it. I might take just a little bit off the bottom of the image, okay, but that's a nit. 7.
Daylily butterfly garden.
I love the butterfly in here. Okay, and now it's coming in. But the flower is really a very major part of the image. And it's not as sharp as it should be, being a major player in the image. I like the butterfly coming into it, but I'm a little bit taken back by the fact that it's fairly soft focus. The pistils look like they're somewhat sharp, but once you get into the flower itself, it's quite a bit out of focus. And I think seeing that it's so large in the image, it demands to be a little bit in better focus. Right? And it looks like it was shot with almost a macro lens, with the depth of field in the image is very limited, which gave you a problem trying to keep the flower in focus. 6.
Heaven or hell.
Interesting story, an interesting depiction of it. Okay? The heaven doesn't come out as sharp as it might, but it's still there light enough to indicate the highness of that you always associate with heaven. But I like the feeling, I like the way you composed it. I like the lighting in the image, composition. I think the image works very well for you. 7.
Buying gas on Long Island.
I was looking for the price. Interesting shot of the gas pump. But now I think if you took a little bit off both sides of the image, on the vertical, and allowed the eye to concentrate a little bit more on the gas pump itself. Because now I'm toying in between the gas pump, which is telling me one story, and the table and the umbrella in the background and the other structure on the left side of the image kind of toy with me when I'm looking at the image. And I think in this, because you're really trying to display the gasoline pump itself. So I think if you made it a little bit larger in the image would be more powerful. 6.
The thrill of the chase.
Very interesting nature story. I love the chase scene, and I like all the water that's flowing in the background and all the droplets of water in the chase, which really adds to the action in the image. I like the exposure of it. I like the composition. I like the shadows coming down on the birds. And yes, the face is not in great lighting, but you really don't need that for this image, because you're showing something different and you're showing a very interesting nature story. 7.
Country fair.
Very interesting abstract. It's kind of an explosion. When you come from the lower right with the reds, and then you come up into the yellows and into the more subdued background, so that you're really using color in this image in order to indicate, I think, what you saw. And the title of it really is significant to this image, because it does look exactly like an explosion. And I like all that action and the feeling of the image and the use of color in order to separate the various parts of the image, which also gives you the feeling of chaos going on in the image, which happens in an explosion. So I think you did extremely well. And I think I'll also have a blue ribbon beer. 7.
City housing.
I like the black and white presentation. I like the lighting and the angles of the light that are coming into the image. I have a feeling that the left side of the image, that part of the other building that's there, is taking away a little bit from the image, because the major pieces are the windows, the lighting on them, the flowers, and the flower pots on the one window, and the very strong angled lighting that's coming in. But I think the left side of the image is a little bit not connected with the rest of the image. It maybe is what I want to say about it. So I think if you crop that out, I think the image would be much better for you. But I still like the image. I like the lighting. I like the composition, all except the left side. 7.
Okay. Gladiolus Serenity.
Very beautifully done. You can argue about the fact that it's horizontal. I don't care, because it's a beautiful image. It's very soft, like flowers are. And you did that very well with the soft colors that are in there and the soft lighting. Very dramatic when that image comes up. It really nails your eye. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything better, with that flower against that background and all of the colors and the lighting that's on this image. 7.
Monaco at night.
I like the feeling of night. I like what you did with probably vignetting on the sides to really concentrate the eye into the middle of the image and the middle of all the buildings in the middle of the city that's in there. The lighting in there is very beautiful. And the fact that you didn't allow it to carry to the edges really makes you concentrate visually on what you saw and what you wanted to present to the viewer. Okay, it just nails your eye when you look at the image. 7.
Fire in the sky.
Nice bit of color, lighting, okay, whatever in the image, okay, and a composition. Okay, that little part on the right and the land that kind of hooks you in to the middle of the image. Okay, does a very interesting job. I might object a little bit to the lower right left-hand part of the image. Okay, because that bush is just dangling in the image. It really isn't adding that much to the image. Okay, so it'd be a little bit tough to take out, but not too bad. The trouble is you couldn't crop it out, because if you cropped it out, you'd lose all the power in the image. But I like the feel of the sky, the colors in the sky, and the way that the sky is really dynamic in terms of both its form, its textures, and its lighting. There's a little bit in the middle here, okay, where you might be careful of it, because that looks like it's really overblown a bit in terms of exposure. So you could take that down a little bit and maybe add more to the drama. You want to take it all the way down because you want to emphasize this piece, but maybe take a little bit off that exposure. Okay, but I like the ripples in the water. I like the dock going out, okay, and the little shack that's out here on the dock. Very pleasing image. 7.
Another dimension.
I think probably what you saw and what made you pick up the camera and point it at this image was the tree. Okay? But the tree is only a very small part of the image. And right now, I'm bouncing over into the right side of the image, down around the lower third of it, okay, where you see this real bright area that's in here. And my eye is going to that because it's got quite a bit of light on it, okay, in terms of the luminosity of it and the colors of it. And yet the colors of the tree, okay, can't compete that well with that color that's over here. You know? So I think even maybe a little bit of cropping, if what you were after, okay, which is a big if what you were after was the presentation to the tree, I think you could take out the right third of this image and improve it quite a bit in terms of the storytelling and what you're trying to involve the viewer in. 6.
Beyond saving.
Oh, it sure is, right? There's something about, I never understand why photographers, including myself, are always drawn to buildings like this, okay? But it really attracts you, and I like the composition of it. I like the very strong negative space of the inner part of the barn, or whatever that structure was. The exposure and the lighting on it is very nice, okay? And the composition works very well for you. 7.
Rose, raindrops are falling.
I like the presentation of the rose and the raindrops. I think that's powerful. I'm debating now whether the background is a little bit too bright, okay? It takes away a little bit from the rose itself. Okay? The color is kind of interesting, but the match between the reds and the pinks in the background. Okay, I think that works, okay, but I think it's a little bit too bright background so that it attracts my eye more than I believe it should. But let's give that a 7.
Hoosier Pass Vista.
nicely done. The reason I stopped is I'm wandering around in the image and looking at the things that I really like to look at, okay? When you see this, the valley down here in the mountains and leading you into another valley in the background, okay? And whatever's going on the road up here, okay, to the right upper portion of the image is also kind of interesting, if that is a road, but it's too straight to be other than man-made. Okay? But I like the lighting on the image. I think that works very well for you. I'm glad you got some clouds in the sky because it gives you some real interest. And I like it looks like the vignetting that you did on the image to drag the eye a little bit more into it. But very, very pleasant nature scene, okay? And very interesting one, 7.
Okay, round 2,
Okay, and what are we looking for in here?
7, 8, or 9.
Okay,
Okay,
and
a
we went
hole in the wall.
7,
Heaven or hell.
8,
The thrill of the chase.
9.
Country fair.
9,
City housing.
7,
Gladiolus serenity.
9,
Monaco at night.
8,
Fire in the sky.
8,
Beyond saving.
8,
Rose, raindrops are falling.
8,
Hoosier Pass Vista.
8.
Okay, we have 3 in this group, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a first, second, and third place.
Okay. Okay. The last one is first. One more. That's first.
That's first, okay?
That's second. The
This
bird.
is second,
No, the chase, the birds and chase. That's second.
okay?
And the explosion one is third.
Hold on.
Sure.
This one is third, right?
That one is third. Yep.
Okay.
Beautiful work in here.
Open group 2, third place. Country Fair, Sandy, beautiful job.
Yeah.
Second place, The Thrill of the Chase, Mario, beautiful again. And first place, Gladiolus Serenity, Dave. Dave, great. I know you can't talk, but great job.
Very nice work.
Okay.
And look, if you didn't get an 8 or a 9, do not go home and kick the dog. Okay? What you're hearing is one man's opinion of it. So, take it for what it is.
Okay, now we have 17 in this one.
This is the theme competition.
This is the theme, right? Group
Okay.
1,
Okay.
Blue Heron Strikes.
It meets the definition close. Okay. There's a little bit in the strict definition, a little bit too much color and other very interesting parts of the image. So that some of the things I really like in the image, okay, the little puddles in the water, okay, where the heron is, all of that is interesting. But for minimalism, it's a little bit of a stretch, okay, but we'll do it at a 7. I'll let you know what I'm stretching.
Looking Glass.
Very simple, okay. With one exception, I think the left side of the image could go. Okay, because that's quite a bit different than the rest of the image itself. So I'm really seeing two images. And the definition of minimalism is you want to really concentrate on one of the images. And even though the mirror has a reflection in it, that would pass muster with me. But the right side is a little bit, the left side is a little bit too much for the definition. But I'll stretch with that because I like it. But I would also tone down the left side of the image if you're going to put it in an open competition. Okay, 7.
Okay. Flying alone.
I like it because even though you've got a fair amount of color in the rest of the image, different colors and things that are exciting, especially that very bright piece of lighting that's coming in. It's a little bit distract from the bird itself. Okay? And I think you could crop most of that out, okay? And just present the bird in minimalism, and it would be a much stronger image for you. Okay, but the image itself is a very good image, but it's a little bit tough to handle in minimalism because one of the definitions is don't overuse color in the image. And you got quite a bit of other colors in the image that detract from the bird in a minimalism image. 7.
Lily pads.
Little bit tough because I'm asking myself, what did you want me to look at? What is the minimal piece of the image? And the minimal piece of the image to me is the water lily. So I think framed in very closely on that, you would have a totally different image. Or even without that, you could have a minimalist image of the different lily pads. Even though there are a number of them, okay, I think would still fit a little bit better in the definition of minimalism. But it's a very pretty image. 7.
Explosion.
Very nicely done, okay? I think it fits the definition of minimalism very well. Yes, you do have a number of different colors, but the reds are so strong that the eye and the brain really concentrate on the reds and kind of ignores the greens that are in the image. So that adds to the minimalist view of the image. Okay? And I like the eyes that are showing in the flower in there. Okay, it looks like an eyes and the nose, the pistils in the image. 7.
It's out of focus.
Leaves.
Okay. Interesting, okay, in terms of the minimal aspects of the image. Okay, I think it would be even stronger if you took quite a bit out of the right side of the image. See the lower portion of the leaves that are in here? I think if you cropped all of that out, you would concentrate a little bit more on this piece of it. You probably can't see my mouse. So I don't know what the answer is. Can you? Can you see the mouse?
No, I can't. No.
Okay. But on the right side of the image, I think you would have a gangbusters minimalist image and would be much stronger. But I think now I'm concentrating in between the major piece of the image on the left side and the kind of minor piece of the leaves that are coming into the image from the right side. So there's a little bit of a dichotomy for me and a little bit of a struggle to get it into minimalist, but I really love the image. 7.
Me and the sun.
The title gets you, okay?
That's you. That's not, you didn't take the picture.
And what's in the image, okay? Because minimalist to me would be, I don't think he's fishing, but the person here at the shoreline without the sun, because I'm now bouncing in between the sun and all the background and the image of the person in the image. So it's a little bit of a stretch to say it's a minimalist image. But I really like the image. In an open competition, it would do a lot better. But again, it's a stretch to put it into a minimalist category. 7.
Cracks are the sign of age.
Like all definition, I think it works very well in terms of minimalism. There's very few pieces in there, okay, that are not all connected to one another. Hey, and they're all the same, even though there are a number of different objects in the bricks. Hey, I think the story is very strong in terms of that piece that you're asking the viewer to look at. And so I think it works well as an image, and I think it works well in the minimalist category. 7.
Silent.
Excellent. Okay. It almost has that Eastern feel to it, okay? The delicacy of the image and the presentation of it. Okay, I like the fact that the trunks of the trees, they're just receding in the image. They kind of disappear in the image, but it's very powerful and very strong. I mean, to me, this image fits all of the definition of the way minimalism was defined. It doesn't overwhelm you with the number of objects because they all blend together. It doesn't overwhelm you with the number of the different colors that are in the image because there are only 2 in here. 7.
Looking for lunch.
Very nice storytelling. Okay, very nice minimalist image, and I think quite a bit fits the definition. Hey, one could argue a little bit about the water down in the right in front of the bird, okay, but that's only a minor nit. Hey, it doesn't overwhelm you with various colors. Yes, there are whites, which are all colors, okay, and oranges and greens, but the oranges and greens aren't that strong to detract from you. So you really only have one color in the image, and you only have one bird. So in terms of that, I think it meets the definition very well. 7.
An old dock.
I like the storytelling. I like the fit into the minimalist category. It's a very interesting image because it's a leading line and an open competition. Some judge would probably tell you the leading line doesn't lead you to anything. But that doesn't bother me at all because the structure is so strong. And what you're photographing in here is the structure. And you didn't intend to lead my eye off into the horizon in the image. I think it works very well. Exposure is beautiful in it. I like the composition. 7.
Rust painting.
Very nicely done. Very nice bit of seeing. Okay. You took a vehicle that probably had something like 25 of those kind of images in it. Okay, and concentrated on one of them and presented it in a way that it really meets the feeling of minimalism. And it's a really very interesting image. I like the subtlety of the colors. I like all the textures, okay, and the rust that's in there. 7.
Out for a stroll.
Again, it fits the subject very nicely. Okay, the whole bug is the major part of the image, and you're not overwhelmed with colors. You're not overwhelmed with texture. Okay, yes, there are some lines in the image, okay, that give you some structure, but that's minimal when you look at it compared to the bug itself. Right? And you really concentrate on that. Might even be a little bit strong if you took a little bit more off the left side, but again, that's just a nit. Very nice image. 7.
A home devastated by fire.
You really get the feel, okay, for the fire in this image. Okay. And it also fits into the minimalist category very nicely.
Really?
because you're
Oh, geez.
because you're concentrating on mainly the effects of the fire. And I like the parts that weren't affected by the fire and all the parts that were burned out in the image. So the storytelling in the image is also very good. 7.
Done digging.
Oh, geez.
Please, people. Go ahead, Vinny.
Mark, can you mute everybody? Because somebody's making.
Yeah, I know, it's gonna, the problem is right now, we'd have to start over again, and we're almost done with this one.
Okay, guys, no comments in the middle? Thanks.
Okay. The image is a minimalist image. You concentrate, okay, all on the fork in the image, okay, and very little bit in the rest of it. And yes, there are probably too many colors for it, but that's part of the fork. Right? So I think it's, when you look at, if I adhered very tightly to the image, I probably would say something different about it, okay? But it's close to being a minimalist image. Okay, the only thing that takes it out of it is the various colors that are in there. Okay, and the definition was not to overwhelm somebody with too many colors in the image, but still it fits fairly well into the category 7.
Algae in the ocean.
Nice image. I like the real blacks in here and the shininess of the blacks. That really takes your eye into it. I like the splash of the waves coming in against the rocks. I like the pool of water in front of them. And it's got a number of things going on in it, but notice the rocks are so powerful that your brain concentrates on just the rocks. And in terms of that, I think it's a very strong minimalist image. 7.
Walking at dawn.
I like the feel of the image, okay, just because it feels like dawn. It feels like I'm out on the beach. Okay? And when I can connect to an image that way, it's really very strong in my mind, okay, because that's the mind is viewing it. I like it's a little bit, I think a little bit too much in the image. I would crop quite a bit out of it and still get the same feel in the image. Maybe half of the foreground and maybe half of the sky, and let the person come out to be a little bit more in the image for this particular category. But it's a beautiful image. 7.
Okay, round 2. Blue heron strikes.
8.
Looking glass.
7.
Flying alone.
8.
Lily pads.
7.
Explosion.
9.
Leaves.
9.
Me in the sun.
8.
Cracks are the sign of age.
8.
Silent.
9.
Looking for lunch.
8.
An old dock.
8.
Rust painting.
9.
Out for a stroll.
8.
A home devastated by fire.
7.
Done digging.
7.
Algae in the ocean.
8.
Walking at dawn.
7.
Okay, we have 4 here.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is first, second, third, and the other one will be a
Okay. That one, let's go back to the trees. That's number one. That's first.
That's what I thought. Go ahead, sir.
I gotta get back in my minimalist view. Okay. That one is second.
Okay,
And that one is third.
this one.
This one's third.
Okay, theme minimalism, group one, honorable mention, explosion, Walter. Once again, beautiful job. Third place, leaves, flow, very nice flow. Second place, Russ painting, flow, wow, beautiful job again. And first place, silent. Flo, you ran it today.
Yeah.
All right, give me a second. I'm gonna mute everybody and ask Vinny to unmute.
Sure. Okay, I should be unmuted.
You are, okay. We're gonna do now theme minimalism group two,
Okay,
okay, and for contest. Minimalism group two, barren branches.
7. The branches really stand out in this image. Okay, accented against that black background. Really nice lighting on them. There's a lot of interest in it. Okay, but I think it works also very well in the minimalist category. 7.
Going home.
I think a little bit would be a little bit stronger if the bird was a little bit bigger in the image. Okay, now depending upon how big an image you have, but you could probably crop quite a bit out because the bird looks extremely sharp in the image to me. You know, and I think that would be a little bit stronger in the minimalist because now what I'm looking at the bird, which is really the minimal part of the image, and the background, which now has a lot of other interesting features to it in terms of the clouds, the lighting, the formation of the clouds. So my eye is getting pulled away from the subject that should really be the minimal part of it. 7.
On the edge.
I love the image, okay, with that green coming in from the lower right-hand side and leading up to the top. I'm a little bit bothered by the gray area in the middle of the upper right-hand portion of the image because the dark part of it is really grabbing my eye when I look in here. So I think you could go in there and in post-processing, lighten that up a bit so it has the luminance, okay, the brightness of the upper right-hand portion of the image. And probably it would allow you the eye to concentrate a little bit more on the real minimal part of the image. 6.
New York Harbor.
It's certainly minimal in color. Okay. And it's but there's two pieces of the image to me. Okay, there's the Statue of Liberty and there's the lower Manhattan skyline in the image. And I kind of bounce back and forth between them. But in addition to that, it takes away from what you saw as the minimal part or what you saw that you want to present as the minimal part. Okay? And I think there's quite a few of them in here. You know, so in terms of form and structure in the image, it's a little bit on the edge of being minimal, but it's still a very interesting shot. And I really like the the colors you choose in order to bring it out, almost that foggy look to it. 7.
Sunglasses on a table.
I love the glasses, okay, and the reflection in the glasses. And I think they would work much stronger without all of the top texture and form that's up here in the image. Again, not as an open competition, but again, as a minimalist competition. I think the glasses are the real subject in the image, and that could be brought out quite a bit just by cropping the image, okay, and just crop the top part of this out and leave the bottom part in. 7.
A view from the top of New England.
Reason I'm stopped, I'm looking for what is the minimal part, because there's a lot of different color, there's a lot of different texture and structure in here. In the lower right hand piece of it is quite a bit different than the rest of the image, so they kind of fight with one another. The top is probably real minimal, okay, or just the bottom is real minimal, but the two of them combined lead you to believe that there's two subjects, two objects, and different textures that involve the eye and the brain. 6.
Mountain silhouette.
Interesting silhouette. I think it could carry the image of the mountain and the silhouette, by taking out significant piece of the lower part of the image, so that you aren't concentrating so much on something that is totally black and without any without anything in it. And I stopped because again, I'm trying to look at it in terms of how would I interpret this in terms of minimalism. Yes, it is because of the use of only two colors, white and black. But it has a bunch of different structures in terms of the trees, the mountains, and the sky. So I'm not concentrating on any one of them. I'm concentrating on the whole image, but I'm not concentrating on a single minimal piece of it. 6.
America the Beautiful.
Yes, it has many colors to it. But they kind of combine with one another, because the brain looks at this as something it's normally seen, okay, and it says, yeah, it's a flag, okay, and it's the American flag, so I see that very strongly in the image. I think what I would do in the image, though, is take down this lower, the brightness of the structure in the lower part of the image. Okay, again, it would be very easy to do in Lightroom, okay, or in Photoshop with the new AI filtering and masking that's in there. It's probably only 15 seconds or 30 seconds in order to do that. And I think you would have a stronger image, and you would concentrate on only the one piece of it, the flag, and not so much on the bottom wooden structure. But still, it's an interesting image. 7.
Fallen.
Nicely done, okay. Very simple in terms of the minimalist view of the image, because your eye is concentrating on just the end of this. I wouldn't say the flower, but the end of the stem, okay, that's in here. I like the angle of it. I like the way it's lit. The lighting is beautiful. Works very strongly as a minimalist image. 7.
Empire Moon.
Okay. Right now we have two major structures, the Empire State Building and the moon, and they're kind of fighting one another for prominence in the image. The moon is actually bigger than the Empire State Building, but the mass of them are almost equal. So there are two structures in here, and the sky is also being a little bit of a competitor in the image. So I think in terms of, it's an interesting image. Eh? But you also have a whole range of colors in the blues, yellows, the reds, the oranges in the image. So it's tough for me to put it solidly in the minimalist category. But it's an interesting image. 7.
Picture at the top of the steps.
The minimalist piece of the image to me is the picture. Okay, but right now I'm competing with the wall switch that's over here on the side of the right side of the image, okay, and all the rest of the stairway. And I think if you cut this image off at the top of the last step, so you just showed the landing and the image at the top, it would be much stronger for you in terms of the category you're in. 6.
3.
Nicely done, very simple. Okay, very interesting image. I like the textures. Okay, they're all the same. Colors are all the same. Okay, shadows seem to work very well in the image, and it works very nicely with the background. Okay, and it's a the triangle is also a very interesting structure in the image. 7.
All the new pics.
They are all the same type of pics, okay, but they're all different. Okay, so that they are, each one of them is a minimalist structure, but the 4 of them together, okay, indicate that there's a little overuse of the number of pics in here for this particular category. Okay, I like the lighting, I like the background of the image. But again, I'm dealing with the minimalist definition. 7.
Moody Mountains.
Nice feel to the image. Okay. A little bit tough because of the lighting and the different structures, okay, and objects that are in the image. Because the foreground is very strong in the image, so is the middle ground, and the sky itself is another subject, right? So I think we have a combination of 3 subjects when we're really shooting for an image of one object, okay, one type of object in an image. 6.
Let there be light.
Interesting view. The reason I stopped, I was wondering, it's a very interesting light fixture, okay, coming in that direction, okay, but I like the it almost looked to me like an image of Mickey Mouse up here with his ear, okay, but that I didn't mean that to degrade the image, okay, because I really like it. I like the strength of the subject that's in here. Okay? I probably would try to get a little bit more of this black out of the subject on the right side of the image, and even the lower part. Concentrate a little bit more on just the whites and the blacks in the image, okay, so that you knew you were working on one structure, but it still fits it fairly well in terms of the category. 7.
Stone hallway.
I like the lighting, okay. I like the hallway. There's one piece that bothers me in the image. It's the light structure that's here, which would be very easy to take out. Now you're left with one hallway, okay, and all the various lighting and shapes of the hallway. And I think that's a stronger image for you without the light in here, because my eye keeps going over there for some reason. Maybe because it's got a fair amount of interest in the image. But I really like this image in terms of the composition of it, but I would take out the left side of the image and make it a little bit stronger. 7.
2 on a beach.
It works when I look at the image a little bit more. Okay, because now I'm looking at just the couple or the 2 people on the beach. And they're just kind of lost. And again, it's interesting because they're lost in the magnificence of nature itself. Okay, so there's quite a bit of storytelling in the image, but I think it works fairly well in terms of minimalism. It seems to contradict other things I've said about other images of being composed of a lot of other subjects. Okay, but for some reason, to my eye and my brain, these seem to work very well with the rest of the image. And so that when I look in here, once I find these people in here, I really concentrate on them. 7.
Sundown in Long Island's North Shore.
Very interesting, very minimal. Okay, a little bit tough because of the brightness of the sky in the background and all the shadow areas in the trees. So my eye goes to the background back here, and it now it has a little bit of a trouble trying to come to grips with the whole image that's in here. 7.
Easy morning.
Now, I'm wondering what says easy morning. Okay, the chair maybe was in a little bit different position. Okay, facing the image and a little bit more concentration on the chair. Okay, would give you a real minimal image. But right now I'm looking at a couple of very interesting structures, the chair. And something I'd like to sit in at this time of the morning and just look at the sky. Okay, the part in the upper left-hand piece of the land coming into the image, which is something that grabs my eye. And then the sky, which is maybe 25% of the image. So I'm bouncing back and forth in between 3 pieces of the image when I really want to concentrate on one of them, either on the sky, crop the image down very well, very much, okay, in terms of just the sky itself, or the chair, okay, or this piece of land that's coming in from the side. 7.
Round 2. Barren branches.
8.
Going home.
Could you do me one favor?
Sure.
Could you rattle through all of them? Because there are quite a few in here.
Okay.
That's why I stopped on the first.
I'll go through all of them.
Yeah. Oops, let me get rid of this piece that's bothering me here, okay. Once more, if you would, I had something come into my screen that was,
Okay, this is the
Right,
one that was an 8. Do you want me to, you want to keep it in 8?
leave it as a 7 for right now, and I'll look at that and the whole group of 7s.
Hold on.
You can do that?
Let me see if I can. Not having luck. Hold on.
It was that fixed score error, I think.
I did, and that's,
Okay.
uh, if you want later, I'll change it.
Okay.
Mark,
Yeah,
I don't know if you hit score or you hit fixed score. Try
I did
fix.
fix, I did try.
You did?
Score, yeah.
Okay. And it wouldn't let you change it? Try, yeah, there it is, 7.
Okay, yeah, I got out of it. Okay, good.
Okay.
Thanks, Mario.
All right.
Barren branches.
Okay, just rattle through them for me once. Okay, got a good feel.
All right, good. Barren branches.
8,
Going home.
7,
New York Harbor.
7,
Sunglasses on the table.
7,
America the Beautiful.
7,
Fallen.
9,
Empire Moon.
7,
3.
8,
Old and New Pics.
7,
Let there be light.
8,
Stone Hallway.
8,
2 on a beach.
8,
Sundown on Long Island's North Shore.
7,
Easy morning.
7.
Well,
We have
With
one
this-
9.
what's that? This one becomes a first place because it's alone and top.
Yep. And got to pick 2 out of the 5. That got a 7. That got an 8, right?
Right, so what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do a second and third place.
Okay. Keep going. First one is the second place.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay,
Got to fight with myself now. What looked like the blueberries, the 3 blueberries will be the third place.
okay. Okay, group 2, third place. 3, Mario, very nice, Mario. Second place, Barren Branches, Dan, once again, beautiful job. And first place, Fallen, Dan, wow, good night for you, terrific. Okay. All right, we're back.
Okay. Anybody got any general questions for me, like why are you such an idiot?
You can unblock yourselves as far as the muting goes. You can unmute yourselves.
I think this was a very difficult judging experience. I think my personal opinion is that we all seem to have different opinions of what constitute minimalism. That would be a good workshop for everybody to,
Well, we already had that workshop.
no, no. I just mean the discussion of what is minimalism.
Right?
Well, this is the time of the evening when we usually invite our members to ask questions of the judge. So if you have some, now would be the time to ask.
I don't fight, so just ask. I'm the first one to admit that I make mistakes.
I have a question.
Sure.
Vinny, how long have you been judging?
Never asked me relative years, but probably somewhere's around at least 18 to 20 years.
Okay,
And this one was tough. But themed competitions are always tough to judge.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So
Because everybody has their own view of what the subject is, their own different definition of it.
yeah,
And no matter how much you write and how much you tell them, they still carry in their mind what they think a particular image is.
Well, I think also when you go online and you see examples of minimalism, which I did, you do see a little bit more, variety of what's considered minimalism. So, again, it's a difficult, like the three trees in the first group, that was wonderful.
Right.
But I know in the in samples of landscapes that I've seen, there have been clouds and foregrounds and midgrounds that are considered middle, what they would say minimalism. So again, it's a little bit tricky because not everybody defines it the same.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you notice a number of times I had to stop and fight with myself to determine, is this a minimalist image? Is this not a minimalist image? Because you also don't want to discourage too many people from, from entering competitions like this.
It was evident that you were giving it a lot of thought, so we
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Certainly to me, a very intriguing topic, and I really enjoyed looking at all the pictures tonight. I don't always feel that way, but tonight, I think for me was especially rewarding.
There were some excellent images in this competition. Right? I mean, stuff that I would also, even though I might have scored them low, I would love to see them in an open competition. Because the images were so beautiful.
That's something that I was just thinking of, and I've had this feeling in a lot of competitions because themes are very difficult. Sometimes things don't fit the theme, but they're very nice photos.
Yes.
So I often wonder if we should, for certain cases, like maybe like this competition, allow some of the photos that were entered as theme, because we have restrictions as to how many times you can put photos back in. But like in a case like this, to allow photos that were entered as theme tonight, because of the difficulty in judging it, allow them to be entered as an open
Right.
in another competition, just to see how they would do.
Yeah.
In the 8s and 9s, the 8s, because the 7s are allowed to.
Right.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, no, I agree that for this
Yeah.
particular evening, because there were some really, really good shots.
Oh, absolutely.
But
Okay.
sometimes the themes get so strict that
Yes.
I've seen many people's photos that, you look at it and you go, that's a beautiful photo. But because of the restrictions of the theme, they don't, I don't think they get, a fair judgment as far as their quality is concerned.
Well, but then,
Because we get hung up on this idea of meeting the theme.
Oh, yeah, but that's
I
the
would
theme.
like-
those are the rules of the
true.
game.
That's-
I understand. I'm just saying it would be nice sometimes to see if some of these photos could be allowed to be put into an open without restriction.
But
Well,
why can't they be? Certainly you could
Yeah.
enter it.
Well, as Flo pointed out, our rules are a
Oh.
7 can be resubmitted once, but not 8s and 9s.
Right.
But that's all right. It's just my opinion.
But
in
your
this
comments are absolutely right. How many times, okay, I looked at an image and said, that is a beautiful image, but does it meet the theme? And that kept coming across. Okay, so there were a number of them that were in there that would do very well in an open competition. And I was also, clubs don't like to do it, okay, but I wonder if pre-screening would help
What does that mean?
to decide whether it admits that it fits the theme of the competition, not to judge it, but does it fit the theme? It would also be a very interesting discussion for a number of people in the club, and to see the different views.
Well, we sometimes do that for certain competitions. We did not do it this time.
Right?
Well,
But we did have that, I did that presentation and we had not just my photos, we had a lot of different people entered their photos. And I think we did have a good discussion.
Uh-huh.
we
So-
did.
Can I make a
But I-
comment?
Mhm.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, if something to me is obvious when I'm going through and looking for duplicates and whatnot, then I will contact the person and see if they want to move it into the open. In this particular case, like Cindy and some others, I did do some research and it was really pretty, what's the word? I saw a lot of deviation from
Mhm.
a lot more flexibility, let me say that, in what was the theme. I saw too much flexibility, so I decided to let the judge do it.
I
So
see.
you're saying, Mark, you felt they were not, some were not minimalist, in your opinion?
No, some, depending, I've seen some minimalism that, how should I say it? It was too close to call and I didn't want to make the call.
Sure.
Right, right.
That's-
Well, that's
I would-
exactly, that was the difficult part. There were some that I also thought, well, this is not exactly minimalism, but then let the judge decide.
And that's why at the beginning, Flo, I said,
He heard you, yeah.
be lenient,
Right.
because I saw so many of them.
Yes.
It's,
That's why I thought the discussion itself is interesting, just to see the different opinions of what one considers minimalism and what one considers not quite.
right. But pre-screening would present the problem in one sense, okay? Because you don't want your members getting disturbed by other members of your club. I always comment that that's why would they pay judges to take the abuse.
That's why you make the big bucks, Vinny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's true. I just thought, never mind. Sorry. Scratch that.
See, for my interest, could you scan through the top winners of the minimalist competition?
Yeah, sure. Hold on a second.
Before I open my mouth and say something stupid or stupider.
Nothing you said was stupid. We may not agree with it, but it wasn't stupid.
Okay, I'm gonna do review contest again. Minimalism Group 1. Walters. Flo.
We don't see it.
We're not seeing them. You don't have them on the
Yeah, I think
screen.
you need to share your screen.
Oh, I thought I did. My apologies, gang. My apologies. Wait a second. Wrong one.
Here you go. You got it.
Do I?
Yeah,
No,
you did.
just went
You
off.
did, but you
You
took
had
it
it.
off.
Share screen, and I'm gonna share this.
Here you go.
Okay. Walter. Flo, third place. Flo, second place. And Flo, first place. That's really beautiful, that first.
Very nice, Flo.
Absolutely.
That was the last snowstorm we had.
Really?
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it
I was
just in the
wondering where you took them.
backyard. It was just in the backyard.
Wow.
I fudged
Terrific.
up the color a little bit, but
Okay. Third place. Mario's blueberries. Second place, Dan is Branch. And first place, Dan, the twig with the flower, whatever it is.
Right?
There we go. We're back again, Flo.
Yeah, no, Vinny wanted to see them. I was just curious why you wanted to see them again.
I was interested to see, did they fit the definition in my mind of minimal? And I think all of the ones I saw, I'm not trying to justify my judging. I'm not the first person to judges, including me, make mistakes, okay, all the time. Okay, but I just wanted to see was, number one, was I consistent? And number two, was I looking at images that fit in my mind the definition of minimalism? We can argue forever about whether my mind is correct and that I have the right definition of it. But when I read the definition of minimalism, all of those images seem to meet that, you know? So that would be an interesting discussion for the club too, you know?
Right.
Why did this get it and why didn't some of
Mhm.
the sevens get, you know, declared minimal images?
I'm sure we all have in our mind, oh, that picture, you know, one of them. Well, that's definitely minimalism, but that would be the good discussion, right?
Yeah, well, conversely, that isn't.
Or
That
that isn't, right?
Yeah.
Well, aside from the fact that three of them were mine, I think all his choices, at least in my head, that's what I see as minimalism. There were some others that Vinny didn't think met the criteria, and in my head they did, but
Hmm?
that makes the world go round, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely correct.
You know, I would just love to ask, who is the maker of the class 2 minimalist photo of that hallway with the light on the side? I just want you to know that picture blew me away.
That's
It did
gorgeous.
it? Absolutely.
That was
I
hard.
bet it was Dan. I would say Dan. If I
Oh,
had-
it's
That's
hard.
Harvey. Harvey's got his
Harvey.
hand up.
Harvey, I'm sorry, Harvey.
Raising my hand.
Hats off to you, Harv.
If I did it, I would have taken the bulb out.
Yeah, I thought, now I know Vinny didn't agree, but I thought that bulb made the picture. It made the minimalism.
That's why I left it in. It
Right.
made it a little.
That's why everybody who looks is different.
But I held up my hands and I removed the bulb and a little bit more of the left, and I thought that was correct. I would enter it again in the general picture. I think it would be.
Absolutely.
With the bulb or without the bulb.
I thought
Yes.
the bulb
I had
was a little boring.
one hell of a problem with that picture, because that is a great picture.
Yeah.
Okay, and it was that bulb that was disturbing to me, that just took it over the edge.
Mm.
But it was so slight, it was hard for me to say, hell no, this is not a minimalist image, you know? It's in that shade of gray area.
Mm.
Most decisions.
Discussions like this only prove that even when you go out and photograph, you all can go to the same place and everybody can come back with a different interpretation of what they saw when they go on to a place. Same
Yeah.
thing with this. Any of the pictures that you see, someone would say not minimalist, someone would say minimalist, some would say, like I said, I would have taken the bulb out. That's my vision. It wasn't Harvey's vision. And doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. It just
Correct.
makes it different.
Exactly.
What
Well,
do
that-
I see,
that's
Doe?
where-
We all saw things the same.
Dan,
That's where I get to the idea, though, that whether a photo is pleasing to look at is really good, and we might look at that photo and say, "Oh, that's a terrific photo," but because we're doing our themes, you know, we try to fit these things a round peg into a square hole, we all of a sudden say, well, it doesn't meet the theme, and so it's out. I would tend to agree that for the theme, I thought it was a great photo, but for the theme, I kind of agreed in this case that the bulb probably should be out. And my reason was because of the light on the right side, which to me was the striking part of it, that light going into the hallway.
Yeah,
And then you had that bulb there, kind of, it was like two different subjects.
all of the forms and the angles, okay, and the lighting in that hallway was so.
Yeah, it was
smart.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah, but going back to Dan's comment, okay? I went for a number of years. I would travel around with 4, 5, 6 people, going to museums, art exhibits, and whatever. And I would always ask the question when we came out of a museum with 5 people, what was your best image? And never did I find 2 people agreeing on and in one image as the best. They always had a different image that in their mind, that was the best image of the day.
Hmm.
So.
Well, that shows the difficulty of being a judge. Those of you
Exactly, I was just gonna say that.
need to think about that a great deal.
The one thing I always remember, I had this art teacher and he said, you know why Picasso was so famous? He had good PR people.
That too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Andy Warhol was the same, okay?
Saying, yeah,
I have a friend that was a very good artist, okay, and he always rags on him, you know? The only thing that made him worth all that money was the PR people and the people he had pushing his photography.
Yeah, that is true.
Well, I think it was a great competition and I think the discussion was just as good, if not better.
Flo, let me ask one question before you cut us off.
Sure, go ahead.
Penny, if the light wasn't there, what do you think you would have gave it?
Mm.
In terms of the total score,
Yeah, how do you think would have wound up?
it would have been a 9. It would have been one of the place picks.
Mhm.
Yes.
It would have been a 9, okay? And whether I'd have to go back over them and say, this 9 better than that other 9, you know? But that was just, when I saw that image, it was just whoop. It
Yes.
just grabbed me.
Mhm.
Uh,
Next time I'll leave the light out.
I don't know. how
Well,
the
the
other
next
thing
theme,
too.
next theme is probably gonna be light bulbs. So I'd leave it in then.
resubmit it.
We submitted on the light bulbs. Any other questions?
You know, I really enjoyed the discussion as much as I enjoyed the judging.
Exactly,
Yes.
thank you. Yes, I did also.
Right?
That's really good.
Actually, the way I feel about camera, because there's more of this kind of thing going on.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
We used to do more of this back in the clubhouse.
Well, yeah, it was easier.
Yeah.
You think so? I think it's just as easy.
Just as
Well,
easy.
No, I meant we used to do sessions where we would take member photos and sit
Oh.
down as a group and discuss the photos and do in-house critiquing,
Mhm.
which
Oh,
led
yeah, I
to,
remember.
which
Sure.
led to discussion
Yes.
when we
Well,
were
we could
younger.
still do that. There's
Well,
no
we could
reason
When
still
we
why
were
do
younger.
that. One of the.
No, but
one
I
of the
like talking
clubs-
philosophically and intellectually about photography,
Well,
not
but just
necessarily
the-
critiquing other people's
Well,
work.
but that led to it. That
But
led
it
to
brings that up, yeah.
Yes, it
But
does.
one of the
Mario.
clubs, they actually do that every couple of months. They have their own pictures, they show their own pictures, and then they critique it. We could do the same and make it as philosophical or not as we like.
Yeah.
That could be something we could consider.
Oh, we did do that recently.
I was for a number of years holding critique sessions at my house, okay, for maximum of 4 members at a time. And everybody had a half hour to present their work. And I would start, but then I would also involve all the other people in there. Let me have your view. First of all, it was very interesting because there was a dialogue in between myself, okay, and the presenter. Okay, not like a competition where you're sitting there listening to a judge and you don't have any interaction with them. It's a very, very interesting interaction. And a lot of times when I saw an image and I decided on what I thought about the image, once the presenter gave me his idea or her idea of what they were trying to show, my opinion of the image would change quite a bit. Okay, so it was that interesting interaction, okay, that really made it come alive. And most
There's-
people liked it.
There's a term I remember from psychology days. I think it's called the politics of experience.
Uh-huh,
And what you're talking about is that the politics can change, which will then change your opinion of a particular work.
right.
You know, and that's valid. That'll happen when there's a lot of discussion, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay,
Okay, I just looked up our meeting schedule, October 11th, learning workshop, presentations of photos submitted by class 1 members.
Right, yes.
right.
I
well,
was
we
gonna
haven't-
bring that up. We're going to be doing that. just
So
what
that's what
we're
I'm saying.
talking
So
about.
it, wouldn't that
Yes,
be
Yes,
the type
Yes.
of what we're talking about?
well,
yeah,
that-
we did it a number of times years ago too for the intercommunity competition.
Mhm.
And then we used to do it, even before that, we did it in general, just when we had members of the club discussing. But when Flo introduced that onto the schedule, it seemed like that was the same thing that we used to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
Or I think that was your intent, right, Flo?
with the group one,
Or I think you had group 1 and group 2 at a
oh,
different
we
time.
did, we had to cut it down. But, yes, that can work in, the group one presentation can definitely work into what we're talking about.
right.
And I don't remember who it was, somebody sent me an email. Oh, it was Rich, when we have the ICC competition. You know, the last few years, we did have a session where we presented, oh, I think I'm gonna present this particular picture. And then everybody kind of said, well, maybe you should do this or that, or maybe
Yeah.
I like this picture better. We-
Harvey
we-
and I ran that for a few years.
Yeah, that's right. We,
And
Sent you a
up in the
thumbs up.
clubhouse, and
Right,
the
right.
sessions used to go for 3 hours.
well, right,
Yeah.
with a lot of talking. Well, we
Yeah,
could,
yeah.
you know, maybe we'll set that up. It'll have to be on Zoom, but maybe we could set that up for this, because it's coming up actually, we have time. It's coming up in December, but we have to have it in to mark by the 14th of November. So we'll have to talk about that.
But one of the things I did find in doing the critiques with a small group of like 4 people, they were more open to express themselves and more open to have the interaction than being in a large group. Okay, it was just psychologically, it was more freeing for them, you know, it's
Mhm.
Good
very
point.
easy to tell people, you know, that your real feelings when there's 1 or 2 people around.
Good
But when
point.
you're standing in front of an audience of 50 people.
Yeah, it's
you
more
shield
daunting,
Quite a bit.
much more daunting, for sure.
Yeah,
Even when there are even when there are a lot of people, then there's a lot of back and forth with too many opinions. A few people discussing something makes it easier to
Absolutely,
carry on that kind of conversation.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, they're much more friendly and people generally walk away with a good feeling from them. You know,
And tears.
but yeah, nobody.
But yes, sounds good. Okay, guys.
Thank you.